Welcome back to another edition of Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me today on the show designed to change your health. I really appreciate each and every listener that we have every week on the show. And I'm so fortunate to be able to get up every day and play such an important role at reversing people's health. We have seen at Bryant Wellness the people of Acadiana's health improve so much by going through our wellness and functional medicine programs. And these programs are designed to stop the downward spiral of disease and sickness. The reason that I'm raring to get to the office every single morning is because my purpose, the reason for being on this planet, other than to be a great dad, is to try to help as many people as I possibly can with today's most complicated health problems using no drugs and no surgery whatsoever. And fortunately, we've seen amazing successes over the last, 20 years now. I've consulted over 10,000 people with the most complicated, quote unquote, untreatable conditions out there. And when you see that many people day in and day out, the advantage of that for me is that I can begin to see patterns. There are patterns as to why people are suffering and are sick and their bodies are breaking down. There's a reason why everyone is starting to develop hormonal problems. There's a reason why Americans are the most overweight country on the entire planet. There are real physical things happening to us that are making us sick. And that's what this show's about. Teaching you about these underlying conditions and showing you simple solutions to those problems. And truthfully, it's needed. Americans are some of the sickest people on the planet. Americans are so sick all the time, it's just gotten normal to us. People think it's normal to feel bad and to be ran down and low energy and hurt and feel bad and tired all the time. And the truth is, it's not. It is not normal to have your body start breaking down middle age and then treat more and more symptoms and conditions and feel worse and worse every year that goes by. That is not normal. But it's so common, people have transferred that to think, well, it's so common, it must be normal. And it's not. Guys, listen. America now takes 50% of all the pharmaceutical drugs on planet Earth. And we're less than 4% of the world's population. We have more hospitals and doctors than any other country in the world, and we spend more on health care than most of the rest of the world combined. Yet China and Cambodia have a longer life expectancy than we do. Now, in Cambodia, some places they have dirt floors. They might be miles from a hospital or miles from any doctor's office, and they outlive us. So if the answer to achieving great health and a long life was doctors, drugs, hospitals, and money, wouldn't we be living to 120? It's not happening. And Americans don't realize this. The number one thing that people need to understand whenever it comes to the way we view health is that your symptoms are not what's wrong with you. People think of their health problems as a list of symptoms. Symptoms are a sign your body sends you telling you something is wrong. It's not what's wrong, it's telling you something is wrong. A headache is not what's wrong with you, it's telling you something is wrong with you. Pain down your leg is not what's wrong with you. It's whatever's causing that's the problem. And so symptoms are a sign of a problem. They are not the problem. They're kind of like your check engine light on your car. So your check engine light tells you there's a problem going on somewhere else with your car. The check engine light's not the problem. It's telling you there is a problem. And that's what symptoms are in our body. They're not what's wrong with you, but they're telling you something is wrong with you. So covering them up is not the answer. So just imagine if Let's say you saved up for 2 years to buy your dream car. You saved and saved and saved, and finally you get enough money and you go down to the dealership and you buy your dream car. And you're driving it home and you get about 2 blocks from the dealership and the check engine light comes on. And then the check transmission light starts flashing. And so you pull back into the dealership, you drag the salesman out there, he gets the mechanic, they go out there and they look at it. The mechanic comes and says, "We found the problem. Your check engine light is on." And he puts tape over it and charges you $200. Would you ever accept that with your new car? Of course you wouldn't. So why do we do that to our bodies? Covering up symptoms, spending a whole bunch of money to cover up symptoms is not the answer to achieving great health. But that's what our system is designed to do. And so that's why we have one of the highest obesity rates. Everybody that we know is sick and broken down with health problems, yet we spend more on health care than almost any other country on the face of the planet. It's because symptoms are not what's wrong. We have to figure out the underlying causes is where we need to go to find out what is causing your health problems. Now, today, I wanted to talk to you about one of those issues, one of the underlying causes of your health problems, because with functional medicine like we practice at Bryant Wellness, people get so used to the traditional way of thinking about, I have one diagnosis and one treatment. The body is way too complicated for that. Most people have 5 or 6 things going on that's causing their health to fail. And if we can figure out all of these co-causes, if I do 5 things to improve your health and each one of them just helps us 20%, we're all the way there. So the body is too complicated to say, well, I tried one thing and it didn't help very much, or I have one problem and there's one solution. It's almost never the case. People have multiple layers of things wrong with them that's causing their health problems. And you have to dig into this and find out each layer, what's going on in each phase of their sickness and why their body is breaking down. And usually it's 5 or 6 things. And whenever we develop a comprehensive strategy to restore someone's health, if I do 5 different things for my patient and each one of those just helps 20%, we're 100% there. So whenever we talk about these things, don't misunderstand me to think that this is the cause of everything. No, this is one of the factors that we look for with people that have health problems. And if I do 5 things and one of them we completely blow and it doesn't help at all, but the other 4 help 20%, we're 80% better. And so we don't have to find the magic bullet because there rarely is one. Normally, there's layers and layers of things going on that's causing patients' health problems, and you have to dig into this and spend the time and talk to the patient and find out why that's going on and how do you fix each one of these 5 or 6 things and get to the underlying issues. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is one of those things, and it's something that affects almost all of us, and that is stress. Stress is something that almost everyone you talk to is suffering with some kind of a stress. And especially this time of the year, people start to get really stressed out, even more stressed out than normal. You know, I heard stories on Black Friday of people fighting in the stores and, stabbing each other and shooting each other and people losing their minds, probably to save $5. But this is a stressful time of year. So I wanted to talk about stress today on the show and how stress affects our bodies and why stress is making all of us sick. Now, first, let me just say that don't get stressed out at Christmas time. Try to enjoy yourself. But we all get stressed out from time to time. And for those of you that are type A like me, I seem like I'm always in a hurry. It's always go, go, go. I can be taking a walk in a park, and I walk like I'm evacuating a building or something. I'm just a go, go, rush kind of person. I'm a type A personality. But so we all deal with stress from time to time. Today, I wanted to discuss how stress affects us physically and what we can do to counteract the devastating effects that stress has on our bodies. Now, because everybody has some level of stress, even even many times if they don't have stress in their life now, like maybe for example, maybe you had a stressful career and now you're retired, so you think, well, that stress is no longer affecting me. Actually, this stress response that your body went through could still be affecting your health even many, many months or years later. So, previous stress in your life can still cause physical problems in your body that have never been dealt with, even if you're no longer in that stressful situation. So, get this 50 to 60% of all doctors' visits are from stress related issues. And you'll see why I mean that in just a little bit, or why that is in just a little bit. People under stress are 4 to 5 times more likely to have a heart attack. And believe it or not, 87% of our patients that we check for stress related problems test positive. I'm going to talk about that test later in the show. Now, your stress glands of your body are your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are the glands that are designed to deal with the stress response in your body called fight or flight. So your adrenal glands are a little small gland that sits on top of your kidneys, and they were designed to deal with stress in your body. Now, if we back way up to our hunter-gatherer days, our bodies developed a survival mechanism called fight or flight. Now, what fight or flight means is that if a predator's chasing us, our bodies have developed a defense mechanism. This is this fight or flight response. And the problem is now we don't have a predator chasing us. We have the traffic, the bills, the boss, the kids, we sort of live in this state of fight or flight. So basically, our bodies are going through physiologically like we're being chased by a predator from the time we wake up in the morning until time we have to take something to pass out every night. And this has dramatically affected our health. So when we get back from break, I'm going to explain to you physiologically how this affects your body and how it's making us sick. And I'm even going to tell you how to fix it. So don't go away. You're going to want to hear this right after this break. We're going to go through how stress is affecting you, even if you had stress in your past. It could be a short-term stress like a loss of a loved one or a divorce, but it could still be causing you to have health problems today. So don't go away. Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before the break, we were starting to discuss stress and how that affects the body. Now, almost everyone you talk to is stressed out to some degree. And if they say they're not stressed, they're usually in denial. All of us deal with some level of stress at some point in our lives. We've created a stressful environment for ourselves as Americans. It's just the facts. Now, some of us deal with stress on a daily basis, day after day after day. And some of you have dealt with a stressful life in your past, and you're still feeling the effects from it now and don't realize it. So, like I mentioned before the break, you could have had a very stressful job or a very stressful career, and now you're retired, but you could still be feeling the effects of that stress response you had in your past, even though now you're retired and you don't have that stress anymore. So this stress response can stay with you over time. The stress glands of the body are the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are a small gland that sits over your kidneys, and they are the glands that are designed to deal with this fight or flight response. Now, our ancestors, if you back way up to our hunter-gatherer days, Our ancestors developed this fight or flight response in their body as a way of getting out of an emergency situation. And here's the thing, this is a reflex. There's nothing that you can do to change it. Your body automatically goes into this fight or flight response under stress. Your body reacts physiologically the same whether someone is breaking into your house or you're stuck in traffic and late for an appointment. Now, of course, the degree of the stress response is different, but physiologically, it's exactly the same as someone, say, you're being chased by a bear or you're sitting in traffic late for an appointment. Your body physiologically responds exactly the same, just the degree of response is more in one situation than the other. Now, the stress response in the body is a reflex, meaning it just happens. It's unavoidable. You can't just decide not to have this happen. It's a reflex like me hitting your patellar tendon with a reflex hammer. You have no choice. Your leg is going to kick. You're going to have your leg is going to kick out. And this is the same thing. When you go into stress, your body will go into fight or flight response. Now, once you do, your body goes through over 50 physiological changes, and I'm not going to go through them all, but here's the top 4. Now, when you go into stress response, the first thing that happens, because remember, my body is responding as if I'm being chased by a predator or someone's attacking me. The first thing that happens when I go into fight or flight is that my blood pressure goes up. Because obviously, if I'm about to fight for my life or if I'm about to run for my life, my body thinks I need a lot of blood pressure, so my blood pressure goes up, which can, of course, lead to the vast array of cardiovascular problems that Americans suffer with. The second thing that happens whenever I go into this stress response or this fight or flight response is my body, it will divert the blood from my non-essential organs, such as my digestive system, my male or female organs, and my detoxification system like my liver, and it will move all of that extra blood into my arms and legs. In other words, my body is not going to spend time digesting my food or creating hormones or detoxifying my body. I'm going to fight for my life. So my body shunts that blood to my arms and to my legs so that I can fight for my life or I can run for my life or both. The result of this is that my non-essential organs basically shut down. My digestive system shuts down, my male or female organs shut down and don't produce enough hormones, and my detoxification systems like my liver shuts down some. And so I need all of the blood that I can get in my arms and legs because I'm about to fight or run or both. Now, the third thing that happens is that my sleep hormones aren't produced very well at all. My body is not going to produce any sleep hormones whatsoever when I'm in an emergency fight or flight situation. So just imagine that you're laying there tonight in your bed and you're about to go to sleep, and right as you're dozing off, you hear your front door glass break open. So you get your gun and you go downstairs, and the cat just knocked a vase off the table, and that's what the glass was. Are you going to go back to sleep right away? Or will you be trembling and shaking and breathing heavy with high blood pressure? So under fight or flight, your sleep hormones become completely shot and completely shut down. This is usually the person that can't shut their brain off at night, or they wake up, textbook is that they wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. wide awake and can't fall back asleep. Now, the fourth thing that happens, and this is a big one, is my body produces an anti-inflammatory hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol is great if I'm in a fight because it's anti-inflammatory. It really helps if I'm injured in some way. I already have this anti-inflammatory hormone in my bloodstream and in my body called cortisol. The problem is When cortisol is produced day after day after day from excess stress, it becomes a weight storing hormone and throws off the rest of my hormonal balance. Think about this, guys. If you've ever known anybody the doctor put on cortisone for an extended period of time, like maybe they have some inflammatory condition and the doctors had to put them on weeks and weeks of cortisone, I'm sorry, what happens to their weight? They gain a tremendous amount of weight and their face gets really swollen and puffy and they get kind of bloated. Stress produces an excess amount of cortisol, which does the very same thing. Your body makes its own cortisone under stress called cortisol. So it becomes impossible to lose weight and have proper hormonal balance if you have this fight or flight response going on all the time, day after day after day. So one of the first steps to our weight loss program is to fix the patient's cortisol balance, is to fix their adrenal system, because cortisol is a weight-storing hormone and stress causes an overproduction of it, and it's impossible to be stressed out and lose weight at the same time. So when we get back from break, I'm going to tell you what's going on in your body and how do we find this, how do we test for it, and how do we fix it. Now remember, 87% of the patients that we test for this test positive. 87%. So that means almost 9 out of 10 of you listening right now have this going on. So when we get back, I'm going to tell you how to diagnose this in your body. And before we go to break, if there's anyone out there feeling like stress is negatively affecting your health, or maybe you're having trouble losing weight or can't figure out why, or maybe you're waking up in the middle of the night for no reason, or maybe you're having trouble going to sleep because your mind is racing, or if you have high blood pressure or digestive problems, all of these are signs that you may have this adrenal fatigue problem, meaning that your adrenal glands have been on fight or flight for so long that they've just collapsed and have gotten completely burnt out. So if you have any of these conditions and you want to talk to me, I would happily give you a call Monday when I get back to the office and talk to you about how my program might be able to solve these problems once and for all. We have some very simple solutions to rebuilding these systems in your body, and we can solve these complicated things relatively easy. The number's 837-7174. That's 837-7174. All you have to do is call and leave your number on my machine. Obviously, it's Saturday. I'm not at work today. But if you'll call, you'll get my voicemail, and you'll just give me your name and number and say, I'd like Dr. Kevin to call me back about my health problems. I'd happily personally give you a call Monday when I get back to work, and we can have a discussion if I think I can help you or not. And if I don't think I can help you, I won't waste your time. I'm busy enough that I don't have to accept patients that I don't truly feel like I can help. This is Get Well Acadiana. I'm Dr. Kevin. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me today on the show. Today, we're discussing the destructive effects of stress and how stress can cause your body to go into this reflex mechanism as a defense against attack called fight or flight. Now, this is a reflex. We cannot control it. When you're in a stressful situation, our body responds physiologically the same, whether someone is breaking into your house or whether we're just stuck in traffic and late for an appointment. The degree is different, but the physiological reaction is exactly the same. Now, when we go into the stress response, when we go into this fight or flight response, our body goes through over 50 physiological changes. And here are the top 4. Number one, our blood pressure goes up because we need a lot of blood pressure if we're about to fight or run. Number two, our body takes the blood from our digestive system and our other non essential organs and diverts that blood to our arms and legs so we can either fight or we can run or both. And third, our body will not produce proper sleep hormones when we're in this fight or flight response. You're not going to be running from something chasing you and then yawn and get sleepy. The fourth thing that happens is our body produces a protective anti-inflammatory hormone called cortisol, which is great if I'm injured or in a fight, but if cortisol is produced day after day, it signals the body to store fat. Now, if anybody's ever known anybody that's been given cortisone for an extended period of time by their doctor, they gain a tremendous amount of weight and their face gets puffy and swollen. And this is the exact same thing that happens under stress because the body produces its own cortisone called cortisol. So people under stress have no chance of losing weight until this is resolved. 50 to 60% of all doctors' visits are caused by this stress response. This is a huge problem in America, guys. 87% of the people that we test positive for this. Just think of all the conditions that this branches out as. These patients are 4 to 5 times more likely to have a heart attack. Now, because stress raises blood pressure and causes cardiovascular issues, think of all the heart problems going on, the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, all the heart issues that's going on, all the strokes. Stress affects that. Now think of all the digestive issues that people are suffering with. Stress causes your body to shut down proper digestive function. So think of all of the digestive and reflux and stomach and colon issues that everyone has. And then you add up all of the sleep problems that Americans suffer with and everybody that's taking something to help them sleep with. I don't know hardly anybody that gets a good night's sleep. And then you have the overproduction of cortisol, which causes fat storage and all of the health problems that goes along with that, the diabetes, the obesity, the cardiovascular issues and cancers, all of the issues that go along with weight problems. Now, can you guys see how this is a major problem in America when 87% of the people we test for test positive for this? Can you see why this is at least 50 to 60% of all doctors' visits are from these conditions? Now, what we're discussing today, the condition that we're talking about is something called adrenal fatigue. Now, how do we know that you have this? Well, we do a very simple test called Ragland's test. And the way that this works is we take your blood pressure sitting, and then we take your blood pressure standing. And when you stand up, your blood pressure should go up 5 points. That's what it's supposed to do. That's the healthy response. That's the correct response from the body. If you go from sitting to standing, is that your blood pressure should, in a healthy person, go up 5 points. Why is that? Well, when I go from sitting to standing, the blood is going to want to leave my brain temporarily, and I would get dizzy. My adrenal glands, my stress glands, my adrenal system in my body is supposed to recognize this and squirt out a tiny amount of adrenaline to raise my blood pressure 5 points so the blood stays in my brain. That's what my body, if I'm healthy, should do. Now, if your adrenal system is so burnt out that it can't even deal with you going from sitting to standing, that's a pretty good indication that you have adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue. Your body can't even deal with you standing up. That's how shot this is. So if we do sitting standing blood pressure called Ragland's test, and your blood pressure fails to go up by 5 points, then likely you have this adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout. And you likely will also have blood pressure problems and digestive problems and sleep problems and weight issues. Now, it's not quite as simple as I'm making it out to be. It has to be done immediately as you're standing up. There's a technique to this, in order to get this right. So sometimes it's hard to do this with like one of the machines in Walgreens, or doing this if somebody's not really skilled at doing this sitting standing blood pressure. There's another test that we use to determine if this is going on in the body, and it's called paradoxical pupillary reaction test. Now, I had to learn the names of all that stuff. You guys don't need to know that, but here's what happens. If I shine a light on your pupil and I hold it there, so I put a light on your pupil and hold it there, your pupil should shrink and stay small. The light's on your pupil remains tight. Now, if I shine a light on your pupil and the light stays on there the whole time, and your pupil gets smaller and then bigger and then huge and then smaller and then tiny and then bigger, so your pupil goes all over the place, this is another indication that your adrenal system is completely shot. Your body couldn't even deal with the stimulus of shining a light on your eye. That's how shot your systems are. And as long as your adrenal glands stay collapsed like this, you have no chance of ever achieving your highest level of health. So I talk about this all the time in our functional medicine program, and it's a little bit different than than what most people think of. People are used to, traditional healthcare where you have one diagnosis and one treatment and you're done. The body's way too complicated for that. Like I was talking about earlier, that rarely solves anything. With our program, if I do multiple things in your body all at the same time, and this adrenal burnout that I'm talking about may be one of 5 things. And if I do 5 things and each one of them just helps you 20%, then we're all the way there. And like I was saying, the body is too complicated to find this magic bullet, because many times there's not one. People have layers and layers of things going wrong, several co-causes, and we have to figure out a solution to each one of these things if the person is ever going to achieve great health. Every disease, every condition has multiple causes, and that means we have multiple solutions. And if each thing we do moves us towards our goal of you achieving great health, then we can get you there and we can restore your health. But it takes someone that's willing to sit down and look at everything involved to figure out all the pieces of this puzzle. And guys, you can't do that in a 3-minute office visit. And we don't do 3-minute office visits at Bryant Wellness. I'm willing to sit down and take the time it requires to figure out all of the different aspects of why you have lost your health, and then put a comprehensive strategy together so that step by step we can methodically restore your health. So at the end of the day, at the end of the program, you're the healthiest that you've been maybe in your whole life. If you want to talk to me about this, you're welcome to call my office at 837-7174 and leave your name and number on my machine. And when I get back to the office Monday, I will call you personally and have a discussion with you about your individual set of health problems and what I think I might be able to do to help you solve them. The number's 837-7174. That's 837-7174. Now, if you live closer to our New Iberia office, Dr. Fontenot's number is 367-2567. Whichever office you go to, we will not rest until we figure out all of the pieces of the puzzle that has caused you to lose your health, and then we will build a comprehensive strategy to give you your health back. And with our patients that come in, after we figure out all the pieces to this puzzle, we have a visit where we sit down and we present it to them that's like a recipe. This is what we found step by step, and this is what we want to do to resolve it. And that's always such a relief to our patients to sit down and present them with a plan on everything we found that's going wrong in their body. People are so used to their health problems as just putting out fires. Oh, my knee flared up. Let's treat the knee. Today it's my shoulder. Let's treat the shoulder. Tomorrow it's reflux. Let's treat the reflux. We have to sit down and develop a comprehensive strategy to fix these underlying problems if you're ever going to achieve great health. The number is 837-7174 to call me in Lafayette, Broussard, and it's 367-2567 to call Dr. Fontenot's number in New Iberia. Right after this break, I'm going to tell you how we fix your adrenal system, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Well Acadiana with Dr. Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today has been a very important show because 9 out of 10 of you out there listening may be suffering with this stress response called adrenal fatigue. And it can have devastating consequences on your health and on your future. And guys, this is such an easy fix. This is a simple one. So once we do all the testing to determine if you have adrenal fatigue, we do Ragland's test and your sitting standing blood pressure didn't go up 5 points. Or we do the pupillary response test and your pupils don't react correctly to light. And you have all of these symptoms where you have the blood pressure and the digestive problems and you're not sleeping well and you have weight gain. Once these indicators that you have adrenal fatigue or stress burnout have been found, now here's the other thing to keep in mind. Like I said, you can still be suffering the effects of having adrenal burnout from something that you did years ago. You don't have to be in stress now. Your adrenal glands may have gotten burnout from a really stressful job, and now that you've retired, you just can't get over it. Like you still don't sleep right or you still have digestive issues and you can't figure out why. Your body can suffer the effects of adrenal burnout for years and just not be able to recoup itself and not be able to get over it, even though you're not still in that situation. So that's a consideration, not just where you are now in life, but where you have been in the past. That's why with our patient histories, we do a very thorough patient history. I want you to know, whenever we sit down and consult with a patient, we do the most thorough history that you've ever heard. Everything that has gone on in your entire life becomes significant. From literally, I'm not joking, the time you were in the womb till the time you sit in front of me today is relevant. And only by looking at the history of everything your body has ever been through can we begin to build a picture of why it's in the shape it's in today. One of the first things that I tell my patients whenever I meet them in the reception room is don't leave anything out. When we're doing our history, we want to know every little detail of anything that may have ever happened to you, from high school sports to falling out of tree houses, wrestling with cousins. Whatever it is, we want to know how your body has gotten in the condition that it is. Because I'm trying to build a picture in my head of what your body has gone through so that we can figure out all of these co-causes to your individual condition. Now, with this adrenal burnout, once we determine that you have it and that it's affecting your health, then what do we do? The problem with rebuilding your adrenal glands is that the extracts that are required to rebuild your adrenal system don't do very well through your digestive tract. So they don't absorb very well. They're very sensitive to stomach acid and they get broken down. So you may only get 4 or 5 cents on the dollar if you take something that you try to swallow for this. There's a lab that figured out a way to make these extracts sublingual. So when you chew them, they go right underneath your tongue and they go in your bloodstream and go and rebuild your stress glands and rebuild your adrenal system. So we just bypass the digestive tract. And when we do this, your energy starts to come back up. You wake up refreshed because you slept all night without waking up. Your digestive system starts to improve. And your blood pressure can now be regulated without trying to force it to do so with medication. And then because your cortisol has been gotten under control, now we can begin the work of getting you to your goal weight and for once and for all, stop this yo-yo dieting that happens because your body will retain its weight because your cortisol level is too high. So if you force your body to lose weight, it's just going to want to gain it right back because your body, because of this stress response, is producing extra cortisol. So getting the system repaired and working to get your body working correctly is a huge benefit along the pathway to you achieving a higher level of health with us. And this is just one small part of our Beyond Functional Medicine program. We have so many amazing steps that we can take to reverse this downward spiral of worsening and worsening disease and more symptoms and more medication. We take a very common sense approach using the most effective technologies out there in a very comprehensive program to reverse this downward spiral of disease in your body. And like I said earlier, the body is too complicated for this magic bullet approach. You're not going to find the one thing that's going to fix you because the body doesn't work that way. Patients will say this all the time. Well, I tried that. It didn't help me, so I quit. Oh, no, I tried that. It didn't help me, so I stopped. Well, if I do 5 things as part of a comprehensive strategy to restore your health, and we do them in an order that makes sense with the way your body functions, and if each one of those things just helps 15 to 20%, we're all the way there. If I do 5 things to restore your health, and one of them we completely missed the boat on, and the other 4 help 20%, you're 80% better. And most people would love to be 80% better. Most people would love to be 50% better. And I want you to know that our purpose, my purpose for getting up and driving to the office every day is to try to help as many people as I possibly can live a higher level of health, live a better life using non-drug, non-surgical solutions. And we have been tremendously successful at that right here in the Acadiana area. And unfortunately, guys, it's needed. We have one of the worst health rates of anywhere on the industrialized planet. So, good citizens of Acadiana, we've got to start making our health a higher priority. You know, one of the problems in America that causes everybody to be so sick all the time is that, I hate to say it this way, but we have a little bit of a priority problem. I mean, when you ask people their priorities, kids, we got to bring the kids places, got to do whatever the kids need. Then we have the house payment, the car payment, bills, grocery, gas. You know, we have all our bills. Well, let me ask you this. Can you even take care of your kids if you lose your health? Can you make your house payment if you can't work? Can you play with your kids or grandkids if you can't even function? So our health should be the number one priority. As parents, we've got to understand that the best thing for the family is to stop for a second and make our own health a higher priority, because no one can replace what you do. I know it's always about the kids and the bills and the boss and the house payment and the car payment and the groceries and so on and so on. We have to work to take care of all these things. But all that's for nothing if you lose your health. You can't make your house payment or you can't take care of your kids if you can't function. So I'm encouraging you to make your health a higher priority. Stop putting it on the back burner and dealing with it later. That's how people get into this health crisis, where they find out one day they have 4 months to live and they didn't think there was anything wrong with them. You know, we hear this all the time. Man, he just found out one day he had 6 months to live and he didn't think there was anything wrong. No, that's because they were using symptoms as a barometer of health instead of what's really going on. Or you'll hear people say, he wasn't sick a day in his life and he just died of a heart attack one day on the way to work. Well, of course he was sick. He was sick for years and ignored it and just didn't know that he had things building up in his body. So don't do the go, work until you just die one day. I'm going to encourage all of you out there in the Acadiana area. Let's make our health a higher priority this year. Let's take care of ourselves so that we can make the house payment and take care of the kids and see the grandkids grow up. And you know what? At Bryant Wellness, we are ready to help you. Dr. Fontenot and I will not rest until we find all of the cofactors to solving your health problems. He and I discuss complicated cases all the time, and we put our heads together and figure out these tough cases, and we can take the steps necessary to solve your health problems once and for all. And if you want to talk to Dr. Fontenot or I, we would be happy to give you a call Monday when we get back to work and discuss your health problems with you. My number at the Broussard Lafayette location is 837-7174. That's 837-7174. And you know, if I feel like I can't help you, I will not waste your time. Dr. Fontenot's number in New Iberia is 367-2567. Or you can join us on Facebook at the Bryant Wellness Institutes. Let's make it a priority this year, guys. Make this year the year we restore our health. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.